My wife gave me the silent treatment for 20 days, so on day 21 I made it permanent. My wife gave me the silent treatment for 20 days, so on day 21 I made it permanent. The silence started on a Tuesday morning after I forgot to pick up her prescription on my way home from work. Not forgot exactly, more like I got stuck in a meeting that ran 2 hours late and the pharmacy closed before I could get there. I texted her to explain but got nothing back. When I walked through the door at 8 p.m., Maya was sitting on the couch watching TV with the volume turned up louder than normal. I said hey and apologized about the pharmacy. She didn't even look at me. Just kept staring at the screen like I wasn't there. I figured she needed time to cool off, that by morning things would be back to normal. But Wednesday morning came and she got ready for work in complete silence. Made her coffee, ate her breakfast, walked past me like I was a piece of furniture. I tried talking to her 3 different times and got nothing, not even eye contact. Day 3, I left an apology note on the kitchen counter with flowers from the grocery store. She threw the flowers in the trash without reading the note. Day 5, I tried texting her at work, no response. Day 7, I suggested couples counseling. She walked out of the room. By day 10, I'd stopped trying to fix whatever I'd broken and started just existing in the same space as someone who decided I didn't exist. The apartment felt smaller somehow. Every room I entered, she'd leave within minutes. If I sat on the couch, she'd go to the bedroom. If I went to the bedroom, she'd go to the kitchen. We moved around each other like dancers who'd practiced this routine for years, never touching, never speaking, never even breathing the same air if she could help it. Day 12, her mother called the house phone. I picked up and Karen asked to speak to Maya. I handed her the phone and watched her face change. She laughed at something Karen said, talked for 45 minutes about work and her sister's new baby and weekend plans. Her voice sounded so normal, so alive, so completely different from the silence she gave me. When she hung up, the silence crashed back down like a wave. Day 15, I started documenting everything. Writing down what time she left for work, what time she came home, whether she ate dinner, if she did laundry. Looking back at it now, I realize how desperate that sounds, but I needed proof that this was really happening, that I wasn't going crazy. That my wife of 8 years had genuinely stopped acknowledging my existence over a missed pharmacy run. Day 18, she slept on the couch. Didn't say why, didn't explain, just grabbed a blanket and pillow after I'd gone to bed and made a nest in the living room. I found her there in the morning, still asleep, and something inside me finally broke. Day 20, I called my brother Alex and tried to explain what was happening. He asked if we'd had a big fight, and I said no, just the pharmacy thing. He went quiet for a minute, then suggested maybe there was more going on than I realized. That maybe the silent treatment wasn't really about the prescription at all. I told him I'd thought the same thing, but how could I ask Maya what was wrong when she wouldn't even look at me? He said I should try one more time. Really try. Put everything on the table and make her talk to me. So on day 21, I woke up early. Made Maya's favorite breakfast. Set the table nice with actual plates instead of our usual routine of eating over the sink before work. I waited for her to come out of the bedroom, and when she did, wearing her blue scrubs for her shift at the hospital, I stood up and blocked her path to the door. Maya, we need to talk, I said. This has gone on long enough. Whatever I did, whatever this is really about, we need to fix it because I can't live like this anymore. She stared at me for the first time in 3 weeks, really looked at me, and then she opened her mouth to speak. I'm filing for divorce. I've wanted out for years. Her voice was flat, emotionless. No anger, no sadness, just a simple statement of fact delivered with the clinical precision of the nurse she was. I stood there, mouth hanging open, trying to process what she'd just said. The pharmacy thing was just the final straw. I've been unhappy for a long time. The words sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced them in front of a mirror. I reached for the back of a chair to steady myself, the breakfast I'd made growing cold on the table between us. Maya, what are you talking about? We can work through this. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. She shook her head, a small, efficient movement. There's nothing to fix. I've already contacted a lawyer. The paperwork is being drawn up. I felt like I was falling through the floor. 3 weeks of silence, and now this? It made no sense. We'd been fine before the pharmacy incident. At least, I thought we had been. Is there someone else? I asked, the question burning my throat on the way out. No. This isn't about another person. It's about me finally having the courage to leave a marriage that hasn't been working for years. She checked her watch. I need to go to work. We can discuss logistics later. She tried to step around me, but I moved to block her path again. Not aggressively, just desperately. Maya, please. You can't just drop this bomb and walk out. We need to talk about this. I've said everything I need to say right now. She looked past me toward the door. I've signed a lease on an apartment. I'll be moving out tonight. Tonight? How is that even possible? Where did this come from? She finally met my eyes again, and there was something cold there I'd never seen before. Check the back of the closet. My suitcase has been packed for a week. I was just waiting for the right moment. I stepped aside, too stunned to argue further. She walked past me without another glance, the door closing behind her with a soft click that somehow sounded more final than if she'd slammed it. I stood frozen in our kitchen for what felt like hours, but must have been only minutes. Then I moved mechanically to our bedroom and opened the closet door. There it was, just as she'd said, her large suitcase tucked in the back corner, already packed and ready to go. My phone rang, startling me out of my daze. Alex's name flashed on the screen. Hey, I answered, my voice sounding strange even to my own ears. She spoke. That's good, right? Alex sounded hopeful. What did she say? She's leaving me, filing for divorce. The words felt unreal coming out of my mouth. Said she's wanted out for years and already signed a lease somewhere else. Her suitcase is packed and ready to go. Jesus Christ, Alex breathed. Are you okay? Do you need me to come over? I sat down heavily on the edge of the bed. I don't know what I need. I'm still trying to process what just happened. Check your bank accounts, Alex said suddenly. Right now. What? Why would I? Just do it, trust me. I pulled up our joint savings account on my phone, the one we'd been building for a down payment on a house. The balance that should have been just over $30,000 now showed $212.43. It's gone, I whispered into the phone. The savings, almost all of it. Pack a bag, Alex said firmly. You're coming to stay with me until we figure this out. This isn't right, man. None of this is right. As I numbly started throwing clothes into a duffel bag, I realized that the silent treatment hadn't been punishment. It had been preparation. For 20 days, Maya hadn't been ignoring me. She'd been erasing me from her life, piece by piece, while I desperately tried to be heard. And now, On day 21, the silence was about to become permanent. It's been a week since Maya walked out of our apartment with the precision of a surgeon removing a tumor. 7 days of existing in a space that still smells like her lavender shampoo but feels emptier than it should. I've been staying at Alex's place, sleeping on his couch, and trying to make sense of how 8 years of marriage could dissolve in 21 days. The divorce papers arrived this morning via courier. I was in the shower when the doorbell rang, and Alex signed for them. He handed me the thick manila envelope with my name typed neatly on the front, his face grim. "You don't have to open these right now," he said, but we both knew I did. The documents were clinical, emotionless, just like Maya's voice that morning in our kitchen. Standard no-fault divorce filing, division of assets, heavily favoring her, and a paragraph that made my blood run cold. A request for a restraining order based on a documented history of emotional and financial abuse. "What the fuck?" I whispered, my hands shaking. "Abuse? I've never—" Alex took the papers from me and scanned them, his expression darkening. "This is bullshit. Complete bullshit." I called Jen, our closest mutual friend, hoping for some clarity. The call went to voicemail. I tried again an hour later with the same result. Finally, I texted her, *, "Need to talk about Maya. Please call me when you can, *. Her response came almost immediately, *, "I think it's best if we don't speak right now. I know what you did to her, *. "What I did to her," I said aloud to Alex's empty living room. "What is she talking about?" I tried Maya's parents next. Karen and Bill had always liked me, or so I thought. The phone rang 4 times before Karen's voicemail picked up. I left a message asking her to call me back, trying to keep my voice steady. Bill's phone went straight to voicemail. I was being blocked out systematically, like Maya was erasing every connection we'd ever shared. The next morning, I went back to work. I'd taken a few days off after Maya's bombshell, but I couldn't hide at Alex's forever. The moment I walked into the office, I knew something was wrong. Conversation stopped when I entered the break room. Coworkers who normally greeted me with easy smiles now gave me tight nods or avoided eye contact altogether. My boss, Diane, called me into her office around noon. "How are you holding up?" she asked, her voice careful, measured. "I'm managing," I said. "Did Maya talk to you?" Diane shifted uncomfortably in her chair. "She reached out to HR last week. Given the circumstances, they wanted me to check in with you." "What circumstances? What did she tell them?" "I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics," Diane said, "but the company wants you to know that we have resources available if you need help with anger management or counseling services." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Maya told HR, "I have anger issues. I'm just here to offer support," Diane said, sliding a pamphlet across her desk. "Employee assistance program, completely confidential." I went home early, unable to focus with everyone watching me like I might explode at any moment. Back at Alex's apartment, I paced the living room, trying to make sense of what was happening. How had Maya convinced everyone I was some kind of monster in just a week? "We need to go back to your place," Alex said when he got home from work. "Get your important documents, anything she might try to use against you." The apartment felt strange when we arrived, like walking into a museum exhibit of my former life. Alex kept watch while I gathered my passport, birth certificate, and financial documents from the small safe in the bedroom closet. As I reached for my laptop, I noticed something under the bed, a leather-bound journal I didn't recognize. I pulled it out and opened to a random page. Maya's handwriting filled the lines, dated 18 months ago. Phase 1 complete. Joint savings account established. He doesn't check the statements, so transferring small amounts weekly shouldn't raise suspicion. Target, $30K by exit date, *. My hands trembled as I flipped forward several pages. David asked about weekend plans again. Had to make excuses. Getting harder to keep work-life separate. Need to accelerate timeline if possible. David, her supervisor at the hospital, the one she'd mentioned having problems with last year. I kept reading, moving backward and forward through the journal, piecing together a meticulous exit strategy that had been in motion for over a year and a half. Maya had been systematically draining our finances, creating a narrative of abuse to tell friends and family, and most shocking of all, carrying on an affair with her supervisor, David, for at least 10 months. The final entry was dated 3 weeks ago, the day before the silent treatment began. Everything in place, lease signed, accounts ready for final transfer. Pharmacy incident will be the trigger. 20 days of silence should be sufficient to establish emotional distress for the restraining order if needed. I sat on the floor of our bedroom, the journal open in my lap, feeling like I was going to be sick. The silent treatment hadn't been about the missed prescription at all. It had been the final phase of a plan she'd been executing for over a year. "Alex," I called, my voice barely audible, "you need to see this." He read through the journal pages, his expression growing darker with each turn. This is calculated, premeditated. We need to get this to a lawyer immediately." The next day, we gathered every financial record we could find, bank statements showing the systematic withdrawal of small amounts over months, text messages between Maya and me that showed no signs of the abuse she was claiming, and the journal the smoking gun that laid out her entire plan. I tried confronting Maya directly, calling her cell from Alex's phone since she'd blocked my number. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello? Maya, it's me. We need to talk about what you're doing." There was a pause, then her voice turned cold. "I have nothing to say to you. If you contact me again, my lawyer will file for a restraining order." "I found your journal," I said quickly. "I know everything, the plan, David, the money, all of it." The line went silent for so long I thought she'd hung up. Then, "My lawyer will be in touch." 2 hours later, my phone rang with an unknown number. A stern male voice identified himself as James Hoffman, Maya's attorney. "Mr. Hoffman, your client has been planning this divorce for over a year. She's been systematically— My client has informed me of your threats and discovery of a fabricated journal." He cut in. "If you continue to harass her or attempt to create false evidence, we will pursue criminal charges in addition to the restraining order." Fabricated? It's her handwriting. It details everything she's been doing. A journal that conveniently appeared after she left? That won't hold up in court. This conversation is over. After he hung up, Alex put his hand on my shoulder. "We need a lawyer, a good one, someone who specializes in cases like this." The next morning, we met with Patricia Vega, an attorney who specialized in high-conflict divorces and false allegations. She reviewed the journal, the financial records, and listened to my story without interruption. "This is one of the most calculated exit strategies I've seen," she said finally. "But the journal is our ace. Maya doesn't know we have it, and she certainly doesn't know what it contains. Her lawyer thinks we're bluffing." Can we fight this? I asked, feeling a flicker of hope for the first time in days. Patricia nodded slowly. We can do more than fight it. We can expose it. But you need to be prepared this is going to get worse before it gets better. As I signed the retainer agreement, I realized that the silent treatment had never been about punishment. It had been Maya's countdown to destroying me. But now, for the first time since she walked out, I wasn't the only one who knew the truth. The courthouse is quieter than I expected. Patricia Vega sits beside me at the defendant's table, her posture perfect, case files arranged with military precision. She looks like someone who's fought this battle before and won. I need that confidence today. Remember, she whispers, leaning close, let me do the talking. They're going to try to provoke you. That's the whole strategy, make you look unstable. I nod, watching the double doors at the back of the courtroom. When Maya enters, it's like watching a performance. She's wearing a modest navy dress, hair pulled back in a simple bun, the picture of a wronged spouse. Her attorney, James Hoffman, guides her with a protective hand on her elbow, as if I might lunge across the room at any moment. All rise, the bailiff announces, as Judge Carmichael enters. She's older, with steel gray hair and reading glasses that hang from a chain around her neck. The kind of judge who's seen every trick in the book. After preliminary introductions, Hoffman launches into their case. He presents a series of text messages between Maya and me, displayed on a large screen for the court to see. As you can see, Your Honor, Hoffman says, gesturing to the screen. These messages demonstrate a pattern of controlling behavior. Mr. Turner repeatedly questioned my client's whereabouts, demanded immediate responses, and exhibited jealousy over her workplace relationships. I stare at the screen in disbelief. The texts are real, but they've been carefully selected and stripped of context. A message asking where she was had been sent after she didn't come home for 2 days without explanation. Another demanding text was actually me asking if she was safe during a snowstorm. Patricia places a steadying hand on my arm, sensing my tension. Patience, she mouths. Furthermore, Hoffman continues, my client endured 20 days of emotional abuse in the form of aggressive confrontations, culminating in her feeling unsafe in her own home. Maya dabs at her eyes with a tissue. It's the first emotion I've seen from her since the day she walked out. When it's our turn, Patricia stands calmly. Your Honor, before I present our evidence, I'd like to address these text messages. The court is seeing carefully selected communications without context. We have the complete text history here. She hands a flash drive to the clerk. You'll notice that Mr. Turner's so-called controlling messages were reasonable concerns any spouse would have. Judge Carmichael nods. Proceed, Miss Vega. Now, regarding the alleged abuse during the silent treatment period, Patricia opens a folder. We have Mr. Turner's documented timeline of those 20 days, written in real time, showing that it was Mrs. Turner who was emotionally abusive by refusing all communication. Patricia pauses, then delivers the blow we've been waiting for. But most importantly, Your Honor, we have this. She holds up Maya's journal. This journal, written in Mrs. Turner's handwriting, details an 18-month plan to systematically drain their finances, manufacture abuse allegations, and exit the marriage with maximum financial benefit. Maya's face changes so quickly, I almost miss it a flash of panic before the mask of victimhood returns. Hoffman jumps to his feet. Objection! This alleged journal was conveniently found after my client left. It's clearly fabricated evidence. Your Honor, Patricia counters. We've submitted this journal for handwriting analysis. The expert's report confirms it is unquestionably Mrs. Turner's writing. Furthermore, the journal contains specific financial transactions that match exactly with bank records we've also submitted. Judge Carmichael reviews the documents, her expression unreadable. Mr. Hoffman, did your client remove $30,000 from joint savings prior to filing for divorce? Hoffman confers briefly with Maya. My client moved assets for safekeeping, fearing financial retaliation. According to